My name is Rabbi Daniel Epstein. I'm talking to you from the beautiful Western Marble Arch Synagogue here in central London. Just to give you a sense of the synagogue, we go for a little tour. As we look around these beautiful stained glass windows behind me, the extraordinary arc and the beautiful architecture, even into the ceiling, which has this wonderful vaulted section elements, beautiful diamonds, everything in wood and this wonderful blue. And it's a real sense of privilege to be able to be here, not just to be the rabbi, but also to daven with people and to bring the community into this wonderful space. There's something very special about the ornate architecture, and in fact, the beauty of aesthetic, which we often think about in Judaism as being secondary. After all, as Rabbi Sachs, who was the rabbi here from 1983 to 1990, said that there is an aesthetic that is really oral or audio. It is things we hear. It is the Shema Yisrael, and less about the visual. And yet, in Tetzaveh, we are told so much about the ornate exquisiteness of the garments themselves. Every garment, every aspect of the high priest's clothes was beautifully adorned, and the specific weaves and nature of the materials was also described in tremendous detail. Just thinking about the ephod, the apron, it says, ועשו את האפוד זהב תכלת וארגמן תולעת שני ושש מושזר מעשה חושב. These different elements, a gold, a turquoise, a purple, a scarlet wool, a twisted linen, and all were מעשה חושב, a weaver's craft. The idea being מעשה חושב not just for the weaver, but חושב, it needed thought, it needed knowledge, experience. That is what comes to it when we talk about the beauty of these garments. So we often talk about garments in terms of a sense of betrayal. The word, after all, for garment is beged, which comes from or is related to, etymologically, the word bagad, meaning to betray or to deceive or to misrepresent. And this idea, again, is that clothing would always be a misrepresentation rather than accurate embodiment of what we were trying to say. So what is it about Tetzaveh that makes the clothing of the Kohen Gadol so important? And why was this chosen as the ideas for this particular parasha? Rabbi Sachs himself, of blessed memory, speaks about. He talks and quotes the Moreh Nevuchim of the Maimonides, the Guide for the Perplexed, in section 3, in paragraph or in chapter 45. He says the following: in order to exalt the temple, those who ministered there received great honor, and the priests and Levites were therefore distinguished from the rest. It was commanded that the priests should be clothed properly with the most splendid and fine clothes, holy garments for the glory and the beauty. For the multitude does not estimate man by his true form, but by the beauty of his garments. And the temple was to be held in great reverence by all. Rabbi Sachs says that this is an explanation which is quite clear, but also has an element of what he calls disdain. How were we so impressed by the superficiality of garments? And yet, how are we so inspired by people who are well-dressed, well put together, and who have their explanations and their presentation as part of their gravitas, how to present themselves and make an informed declaration for the people who are listening. And I think that's what we are trying to say in Tetzaveh. It is a commandment. It is an inherent nature of who we really are supposed to be. On the one hand, everything is internal. We listen, we imbibe the Torah through our audio nature. We listen to it, we understand, we hear, and we try to appreciate what we are hearing, and then we can give back on the basis of the experience that we have taken in. But at the same time, it's very visual. Things were supposed to be ornate and exquisite. The tabernacle, the Mishkan, the Mikdash, Beit HaMikdash, the temple also, something which needed to be impressive. So when people came to see it, they were filled with a sense of awe. And especially the Kohen Gadol, who represents the people. His clothing needed to be immaculate. Every aspect of the clothing was supposed to be presenting and representing something not just of a physical nature, but to incorporate spiritual aspects as well. And I think that element is something we should focus on. It's important, on the one hand, not to be drawn and, as it were, blinded by what we see, but at the same time, we should present and project a sense of beauty and exquisiteness in the way we dress, in the way we present ourselves physically in the world. After all, it is a world of physicality as well as a world of spirituality. So in contrast to the ways that Judaism does present itself, in certain aspects being very much of the people of the book Am HaSefer and the notion of ideas and philosophies, it's also important in many ways to make sure that physically we present ourselves properly so that the world in its broadest sense has a chance to appreciate, as the Moreh Nevuchim said, that for the multitude, we don't really estimate man by his true form, by the beauty of his garments. May we be garmented in wonderful clothing. May we be clothed in the beauty and the spirit of the Torah and of our Yiddishkeit. And may we get a chance to present ourselves everywhere and anywhere we are in a way that gives people a sense of inspiration and hope that we have taken the effort to present ourselves well, our material and our people and our peoplehood. And at the same time, let us get a chance to inspire those around us, not just with our words, but with our actions, with our spectacles, and please God, with everything that we do. Wishing everybody a Shabbat Shalom.